The music industry's biggest secret has been hiding in plain sight, and it's why 99% of musicians struggle while the top 1% thrive. Most artists believe that talent alone can carry them to success. But here's the truth. Obsession is what separates the elite from everyone else. I've watched countless talented musicians fade to obscurity while the seemingly average ones skyrocket to the top. The difference wasn't skill, it was their obsession with every aspect of their craft. In this video, I'll show you exactly how the top 1% think differently and why they're the ones that actually end up making it in music. First, they obsess over their craft. The top 1% aren't concerned with just getting it done. They want to do it at a high level. They want to make sure that it's impeccable. They want to push the envelope. I'll give you an example. I used to just go to the studio and make music and then just be done with it and put it out, not really put too much thought around it. And then over time, as I leveled up, I really began to obsess. Am I delivering this in the way that I want? Does the beat sound like it's in pocket with the cadences? Does it sound mixed well? Does it sound like it's mastered well? Over time, I remember a few of the songs that I did, I spent months, if not years on a couple of them because I wanted to get them so obsessively good. And so all that to say, you really need to obsess over every part. Do you like the beat? Do you like how you deliver it? Do you like the mixing? Do you like the mastering? How does it sound vocally? Does it sound good in all 4 different speakers? So I began to obsess over these little details. Obsessing over the details is what's gonna push you, and it's literally gonna be the barrier that's gonna move people from, oh yeah, I'm super talented, to I'm not really that talented, but I have the obsession to become that good, to become that elevated. So talent can only get you so far, but the obsession with wanting to be great and wanting to improve every day is just gonna take you to that next level. If it's all that you think about, if it's what you sleep, eat, and dream about, you're on the right track. You need to be obsessed if you're gonna be in the top 1%. Because everybody else in the music industry, given that it's so saturated, everyone right now is working on music right now. They're sleeping it, they're eating it, they're breathing it. And you're watching Netflix. You're hanging out with your friends. You're wasting that time that you could be obsessing over this. Again, I'm just saying, if this is something you want to do, you need to be obsessive about being the best at it and being the best that you can be, but also just ensuring that you're aligned with people around you, that you're pushing yourself, that you're trying new cadences and new flows and new styles. And I'm not saying lose sleep over it, but you really need to be locked in, and to be locked in, it really needs to be your purpose. I remember for one of my albums, I think ATL, a couple of my songs had 19 or 20 different versions of the songs. And I believe for some of my most recent music that I'll be putting out soon, I sat with those for probably a few years. I spent months sometimes on a song with, ooh, this has pops, this has clicks, this doesn't sound like it's vocally aligned with this one. Ooh, this one sounds like it's like a little off pocket. Oh, the beat sounds loud here, the vocal sounds loud here, this doesn't sound good in the car. All these little things, I know it sounds crazy, but if you push yourself to make sure that you're literally ticking and tying and elevating in all these different areas, and you're obsessive about being the best in every single area of music, you are gonna get so good at music that you're gonna be undeniable. And that is how you're gonna crack the 1% of people who are right now living their dream of being musicians. Secondly, the top 1% treat their music like a startup founder building a company. And what I mean by this is they obsess over every aspect of their business. They're not just making songs, they're making sure that the marketing is 100, it's tip top. They're also making sure that the people around them know about their music so that they have fans. They're also making sure that they're going out and they're performing, that they're doing live shows. They're also making sure that they have music videos, that they have visuals around it. They're also making sure that they understand the business side of it. Am I capitalizing on making sure I get my royalties? Am I making sure that I reduce my taxes by starting an LLC? They care about every aspect of their music, not just the making songs, because they understand it's a business. It's a way to be able to make a career out of. It's a lifestyle. So in order to be in the top 1%, you literally need to be involved in every aspect of your business, at least at the very beginning. I'm not saying that you need to be doing this forever. Smart people will actually hire other people to outsource for them once they scale, which I recommend you should do. I'll make another video about how to scale your music business and how to outsource. All that to say though, you need to be heavily involved at the very beginning of the process, from the songwriting to the mixing, to the beat making, to the vocals, to the marketing, to the live shows. Because by doing all these things, you'll learn a lot faster, and then you'll figure out who you want to work with in the long term. And ultimately, you'll be able to have control over understanding, how do I elevate this part of my business? Who can I work with on this part of my business? How can I scale? How can I get to that top 1% of growing and evolving so that every area of my music is tip top. Not just the music itself, but the business, but the fans, but the marketing, but the message, the branding, the authenticity. So make sure when you're thinking through how to build your music, don't think about one-dimensionally just putting out songs. Think about, how can I build a brand? How can I create a message? How can I orate to people? How can I be inspiring to people around me? So think big picture and be heavily involved in your business, in your music, like a startup founder. Billie Eilish didn't just make great music. She had a team of people helping her build her vision and her brand on every step of the way. And you need to think like that. Who can I surround myself with in order to create a multiplier effect of all of us winning and all of us creating a bigger pie? Even though the slice of my pie seems like it's percentage-wise smaller, I need to think of creating a bigger pie. So overall, the absolute value of my pie is much larger because I can share it with other people and I can build and scale a vision. Thinking about your music business like a startup where you're scaling it and you're bringing other people on to help you grow that vision is how you need to think about it. Don't think so small, think bigger. Third, the top 1% maintains relentless consistency that goes beyond just showing up. And what do I mean by that? Have you ever made something where you're like, oh, I'm inspired to do this today, I'm gonna write this song, and then you just like go ghost and you just don't make music for a few months? That's exactly what I mean here. You need to be able to create, you need to be able to show up to work every day, you need to be able to do your music even when you don't feel like it. You need to be able to say, I'm a robot and I'm gonna do it regardless of how I feel. If I feel good, if I feel bad, I'm still gonna make the video, I'm still gonna write the song, I'm still gonna call this person to be able to set up this music video, I'm still gonna push forward. And all that to say, the top 1% aren't worried about results. They're worried about the inputs. Are they holding up their end of the bargain and putting in as much work as they can in order to increase their luck, in order to increase the opportunities so that they will be ready when those opportunities do come? Ultimately, it's a long game. It's not the people who have those viral hits that essentially become one-hit wonders. It's the people that build slowly but surely but stay consistent, and ultimately, they build a brand that lasts forever. So you need to think about, what are ways that I can motivate myself in order to create hundreds of songs, to create hundreds of videos, to create hundreds of content, hundreds of pieces of content, rather, that I can scale, that I can use, that I can continue to build and brand myself on. And over time, you're going to get better, right? It's like, it's better to take 100 photos because ultimately you're going to get better at the quality of the photos increases versus somebody that takes 10 photos. The quality doesn't increase because they don't learn anything. A good example of this is Ed Sheeran. He played over 300 shows, very small shows, and ultimately he gained notoriety, he gained prominence, but it's because he built his craft brick by brick, and it takes time. You got to put the time in. A good example of staying consistent regardless of the situation is, I was at work, I remember traveling in 2017, and I think I went down to Central Valley in California, and I just had gotten to work. I came back home and I was at the hotel, and I was writing a song and I was rapping the song. I was like practicing. I got a text message from the hotel owner and she was like, hey, are you rapping? Are you creating a song? And I got a noise complaint because the person next door in the hotel like told the hotel manager that somebody in the hotel is like writing music or making music or something really late at night. All that to say, it didn't stop me from making music. I decided I'm still gonna find a way to be able to create even when I'm on the road, even when I'm not at home, even when I'm not in a comfort zone that, you know, has everything that I need. I didn't have a studio, but I had my headphones, I had my notepad, you know, I had my computer. That's all that I really needed, right? If you really care about this and you want to be consistent, you'll find a way or you'll make a way. And so that's a really funny anecdote for me because I just remember how hungry I was and how hungry I still am to be able to do this. And you have to have that level of hunger to say nothing's going to stop me every day. If there's a will, there's a way. Fourth, the top 1% build direct relationships with their fans, like business owners who know all their customers by first name. And what I mean by this is, you have to be able to go in the weeds. You have to be able to DM people. You have to be able to say, hey, I'm going to put my ego aside. I'm going to get to know the people that listen to my music. Because my biggest fans are my friends. They are my family. They are people that have DM'd me. I'm not saying all my fans are friends and family, but a lot of people that have known me and figured out what I do is through my friends and family. That's kind of how it started. And then from there, I've done shows in the DMV. I've done shows in New York. I've done shows in LA. People have slowly but surely gotten to know who I am, know what my brand is, and I've been able to expand my fan base. But even then, when a fan DMs me and says, hey, I love your song, or hey, when are you dropping? I don't ignore them. I build those relationships because I realize Your fan base is the people that are going to build your career. You should be grateful for them. You should be thankful for them. They're the ones that are going to buy your merch. You need those 1,000 true loyal fans, right? In order to get those 1,000 true loyal fans, you need to put yourself out there. You need to put your ego down and say, hey, I'm going to talk to people. I'm not going to say that I'm better than anybody, because we're not. We're all human at the end of the day, right? Build those relationships, because those people will be front row at your concerts. Those people will be buying your merch. Those people will be checking out your songs every time you drop on Apple Music or Spotify or YouTube. Treat your fans well, know them intimately, be grateful for them, say thank you, and keep building, keep scaling. A good example for me here was when I released merch, I believe back in 2020, 2021, I wrote these handwritten cards for everyone that bought merch, and I made sure that it was personalized. I wanted to say thank you. I know I had them all send me a photo of them wearing the merch. I did this little extra thing because, first of all, I was grateful. Second of all, I know that I was in a point at some point where people told me to quit music, and being able to sell merch, you know, that's a blessing. That's not something I take for granted. A little extra thing that you do sometimes, whether it's send a video to someone and say, hey, thank you for coming to my show, I really appreciate it. Or even like, thank you for supporting me. Or, hey, like, it meant the world that you were there last night. Just saying thank you can go a long way. DMing your fans one by one and just being grateful. So that's a good example for me that I just wanted to share, to say, like, I do those little things because I know it matters and because I'm grateful. Like, my fan base can be taken away from me tomorrow, right? And I don't take that for granted. Tomorrow is not promised, only today is. So make the most of today and DM your fans. Fifth, the top 1% collaborate strategically like a company expanding their reach and building partnerships. For me, it hasn't been about quantity, but it's been about quality. So over the course of my career, I've collaborated with some really dope artists. Shout out to everyone that I've worked with along the way. I definitely would say I don't work with everybody because I don't want to work with everybody, and they don't want to work with me. You want to work with people that you're aligned with. You want to build strategically. It doesn't make sense for me at this point right now to go collaborate on a completely different genre or someone maybe that doesn't align exactly with my brand, right? So I'll give you an example. I work with Haji Springer, and we have a project coming out. He's a really dope hip-hop artist in the Bay. He's the OG of Indian hip-hop. Many of you probably know him. He's taken me under his wing, and we're doing an album. He produced it, and I rapped on it. And our partnership was just very natural. You know, I helped him with a lot of the business side of it, and he's helped me with a lot of the artist side of it, right? So it's a very, you know, formidable concoction of artistry and business that we bring to the table. So it was a very strategic collaboration. I have a collaboration that's been in the works for 8 years, and little did I know it was going to be 8 years, but my buddies Andrew and Ben, shout out to them, and my friend Howard and Alan Z, HX the Poet, we have a song coming out with Boba Guys. Many of you guys in the Bay Area and LA and New York probably have heard of Boba Guys. They've just been on my radar for so long. I align so much with what they do. They're building culture, building bridges. It's all about, you know, building a community with people, like-minded individuals, and, you know, being able to share the common experience of using food and using artistry and using music to be able to, you know, expand the reach of how we think, how we interact with each other, bringing diversity to different areas of media and different areas of entertainment. I align with this principle. So all that to say, I got inspired by Boba Guys. I wrote a song called We Build Dreams. It's a collaboration with them coming out in a few weeks. If you guys want tickets, it's below in the link. September 19th in the Bay Area at one of the Boba Guys locations, Boba Guys Fillmore. I've been inspired by them for a while, and it caused me to want to write a song about them that they didn't even ask me to do. I was strategic about that. That's another example of who I work with is very particular to my brand and to my thought process. And I want to build with people who are on the same level as me. I'm not here to ask for handouts. I'm not here to go get features from Drake or from, you know, Kendrick Lamar or from Nicki Minaj or whoever your favorite hip hop artist is. I just want to build with like-minded individuals. If those people come to the table one day when there's opportunity, I would love to. But all that to say, be very strategic about who you work with because it's very reflective of your brand. And if it's something that you don't want to work with, don't be afraid to say no. Just be like, hey, I don't think our brands are aligned. I'm doing a little bit of other things right now. Maybe in the future, if there's an opportunity, don't burn bridges. But at the same time, you know, don't just diminish your value and make your time available for everybody just because, you know, you're like, oh, I need people on my tracks. I need to do collaborations. I need to get my name out there. Be smart about the strategic collaborations you do. Don't just work with everybody. Just work with people that are authentic to you and what you're trying to do in your music career. So that's another little nugget right there of wisdom. So that's another nugget of wisdom of how the top 1% really separate themselves, is they stick to their brand. They don't try to go and they try to work with everybody there. They try to be very focused and narrow about who they collaborate with and have it strategic. And sure, yes, if there's a $1 million check that comes to you for doing a collaboration, you may want to think twice about that and not just turn it down immediately. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just saying be very strategic about who you work with, right? And think through, does this align with where I'm trying to go in my career? Does this align with who I am as a person? Think in 5 to 10 year increments. Don't think in 1 month or 2 month or even 6 month increments. Think long term of like, okay, I'll build a relationship with these guys for a few years and maybe we'll get to work together one day. And I'll just continue to just do really good things for them and build my brand and be friends with them. And if there's something happens, great. And if not, at least we have that relationship where, down the line, I can always help them and I can always, do stuff for them that can help their businesses as well. So it's kind of a ecosystem of 1 + 1 = 3. You guys probably know Billy Ray Cyrus's song with Lil Nas, Old Town Road. That was a very strategic collaboration. So if you guys just thought that just happened out of thin air, it didn't. And that's a good example of how they really planned the sort of fusion of that genre of taking basically R&B and country and putting them together where you're now having a melting pot of different fans coming together. That's another good example of how you can use strategic partnerships to your advantage when they make sense, when they align. And I don't need to harp on the fact that Old Town Road was probably one of the biggest songs a couple of years ago. Probably still is one of the biggest songs in the world. Billions of streams. So all that to say, your time will come. You just have to keep putting in the work and just build relationships authentically and see what sticks. Finally, the top 1% of musicians have this mindset of continuous improvement, like a scientist constantly running experiments. The reality here is 99% of people are just gonna do a genre or make a song and just be satisfied with what they did. They're gonna be like, all right, this is it. But the ones who rise to the top and are the cream of the crop are gonna push their sound. They're gonna push their boundary. They're gonna say, my cadences are cool, but I'm actually gonna make hooks. I'm gonna learn how to make songs that are very catchy. They might say, you know what, I write really good hooks. I'm gonna make really poignant verses that have really smart lyrics. Or they're gonna say, I'm gonna learn how to produce. Or I'm gonna work with these new artists that have different complementary genres than me. Maybe if you're in hip hop, you might say, I wanna work with someone in EDM. Maybe if you're in country, you wanna work with someone in R&B. Whatever your style is, whatever you like to do, push your sound. How can your mixing be better? How can your mastering be better? How can you save more money in your music business? How can you use less to create more? How can you streamline your approach for music making? When something takes you 20 hours to write, can you do it in 5 hours? Can you do it in 1 hour? The musicians that rise to the top in the music industry, they don't stop. They do not relent. They keep going and they say, I'm gonna find a way and I'm gonna continue to push the envelope and get better. While they're never satisfied, they're grateful. And when they're grateful, they come from a place of abundance and they realize the process is the gift, and getting better and better at your craft is the best feeling. The money, the accolades, all of the notoriety that comes with it, that's cool. But that's actually not the prize. The prize is leveling up and becoming a master at your craft and having fun in the process and seeing that evolution. For me, it took me 10 years to just get good at this. I had to go through people saying your music sucks, to having self-doubt, to almost quitting 3 or 4 times, to making a few songs and then not staying consistent, to people barely listening to me, people barely come to my shows, to now I sell merch. I've done tours. I have a collaboration with Boba guys. I have a collaboration with Haji Springer, one of the biggest artists in the Bay Area and Indian hip hop. I run a YouTube channel. I have an LLC. I built all these things brick by brick, but it took time. It took a lot of experimentation and it took a lot of failure. But if you continually improve and you have that growth mindset and you have that learner's mindset, you will get to that top 1% and you'll be so locked in, you'll be trying to get to that top 0.1%. And that's how you'll know when you're at the top 1% and you're like, all right, cool, what next? You're trying to climb that next mountain. The grind doesn't stop. That's the beauty of music. You can never truly master it, but you can continue to get better at it, and you can look back and say, hey, I'm grateful. I made progress, and there's more to do, but I'm grateful for the progress I've made. So why does everything I'm saying in this video matter? It's because the path to success isn't mysterious in music. It's brutally demanding. That's really the reality here. And to get to this top 1%, it requires treating your music passion as a professional obsession, not as a casual interest. And it means marketing yourself as strategically as you create. It demands relentless consistency even when results aren't showing. And it demands building genuine connections with all the fans around you and soaking the moment in and saying thank you. That mindset from hobbyist to obsessive professional is really what separates the top 1% from everybody else. I keep saying this in the video, but I'll say it again. Your success in music isn't about talent, it's about your obsession and everything else that I mentioned. If you're ready to be in that 1%, drop a comment below. Let me know what you're going to obsess about this week that you're going to improve in your life, whether it's in your music or whether it's outside of your music. I want to know. If this video resonated with you, I made another video that really helped me when I was stuck in my music career and I needed to get an extra push in order to get to that next level. You can check it out here. I really recommend it. Thanks for tuning in, and shout out to the Outliers.
This man is going everywhere.
Ambition got me ending on a high note. Yeah, I know. Ambition got me, yeah.